Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
This is the Athlete Profile Show on Wisp Sports Radio, brought to you by Highlands Earache Drops.
Have you been diagnosed with an earache by a physician? For natural relief due to earache pain, fever, irritability, and sleeplessness, try Highlands Homeopathic Earache Drops and Tablets. Highlands has been trusted for generations to provide safe, effective homeopathic medicines for all members of the family. There's no alcohol and no sting. You can get back to doing what you love. Go to highlands.com/ear-pain to find a retailer near you. That's highlands.com/ear-pain. Claims are based on traditional homeopathic practice, not accepted medical evidence. Not FDA evaluated. Read and follow label directions.
Hello, I'm Chris Stafford, and at Wisp Sports, we believe that women in sport deserve equal coverage. My guest today is South African rhythmic gymnast Shannon Gardiner. Shannon is just 18 years old and still at school, but she's focused on the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, and for her, the journey has already begun. She will shortly be heading to Europe to compete in the World Championships, and after that she has the African National Championships. Her routine on the mat is absolutely breathtaking, and her training schedule is absolutely exhausting too, her days filled with a variety of routines in her quest for perfection. Like most gymnasts though, Shannon started as a young girl. She was just 7 years old when she met her Bulgarian coach, who would steer her to international success. She has travelled the world already, including last year she went to Hungary, where she placed 8th in the Budapest Gracia Fair Cup, and Tokyo for the Aeon Cup and Israel for the North Rainbow Cup, where she finished second overall in the all-round and qualified in the individual final, receiving a silver and 2 bronze medals. Shannon is ranked second in South Africa and qualified for the 2018 Commonwealth Games Gold Coast, was denied her place due to complications in the selection procedure. The World Rhythmic Gymnastic Championships in Sofia, Bulgaria, from September the 10th through the 16th, will be a major event for Shannon to consolidate her standing and set her up for the African National Championships. I caught up with Shannon at home recently after an exhausting day of training and studying. Shannon, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
We've been trying for some time to reach you, and you have a busy schedule with being at university studying as well as your training. So let's start with a typical day for you then, and what you're training for right now. What's your next big goal?
Well, a typical day for me is I usually wake up in the morning around about 6 o'clock, and I go to Russian ballet because I have that basically every second day. And on the other days, I have biokinetics. Then I go to university in the mornings, and I basically about 1:30, 2:30, and then I'm luckily right there by the university, so I train at Tuck Sports, which is a 5-minute walk, and then I start training at 2:30 until about 6:30. And then I come home and study.
Wow, so it's a very full day then. And is your training different every day, Shannon?
Very, very different.
Well, you do so many things, don't you? And I'm just curious as to how those pieces all come together. Break it down for us, if you would, of the different types of training that you have to do for gymnastics.
Okay, well, for ballet, it's Russian ballet, so it's Vaganova style. And basically, my ballet teacher does more of a gymnastic ballet more than a classical ballet for me. So that's basically bar work, center, allegro, everything. And then my biokinetics is obviously there to help me to just strengthen my body in general, just so that I don't get any injuries and everything. And then my normal gymnastics training, that's basically we do full body warm-ups, conditioning, cardio, strength, and then we go into apparatus work and we basically train our apparatus and then start with routines and music. And then from there, it's just repetition over and over and over of our apparatus and our routines just to make everything perfect.
Well, you certainly do make everything perfect. I, of course, have been following you on social media, and some of the images that you post there are just incredible. I wish I could do half the things that you do.
Thank you so much.
It obviously does take a lot of training to get to that point and get to such perfection with all the movements that you do. And this, of course, is something you've been doing for quite a while now. You started when you were 7 years of age in rhythmic gymnastics. And how did that come about? What was the opportunity that led you into the sport, Shannon?
Basically, what happened was that I was watching the Olympic Games. I was watching rhythmic gymnastics. And my mom always told me the story saying, I always used to say this. So basically what happened was that I was watching Olympics on TV and I said to my mom, no, Mom, I can do this. I promise you I can do this. And she's like, yeah. Yes, of course you can. I know you can. I know you can. Don't stress. But she just left it. And I kept on nagging her, saying, Mom, I can do this. I can do this. So she was like, okay, no, let me give my child this opportunity. So she took me to artistic gymnastics first because we couldn't find rhythmic gymnastics. So we went to this club and we started artistic, and I did it autistic for about a year. And they kept on saying to me, this child's very flexible. We need to try and strengthen her more because her body's just too flexible. So then we saw then the next a few years later, so about 1 or 2 years later, we saw my coach doing rhythmic gymnastics in the same hall because she just moved in. And then we started up with rhythmic, and basically in the end I chose rhythmic gymnastics because I was doing both of the sports, but they're very contradicting against each other. So I stopped artistic gymnastics in grade 4, and obviously that was the better choice that I took because now I'm where I am now.
Talk a little bit about that, why you were too flexible. What was the thinking behind that?
I think that my body was naturally flexible when I was born because I have a naturally flexible back. I didn't have to work my back whatsoever. My shoulders were also very flexible, so I was very fortunate for that. But with my legs, I had to just work them more and stretch them more. But honestly, with stretching is just something that you have to do every day just to get better and better every time. And it's long periods of stretching, so it's very painful. But my coach with me since I was very small, and we just stretched over it's basically in splits. Then you get onto splits on chairs and just kind of just push and then stretch, and then your muscles just get to loosen more. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. I just didn't get the full thing because it just cut off for a bit.
Well, it sounds as if you were naturally gifted there, Shannon, which makes obviously much easier for you to develop in the sport and to build the strength on top of the flexibility. And that your parents were encouraging when you said your mother obviously sought opportunities for you. Were your parents athletic at all? Did they participate in sports? Do you have siblings that were interested as well?
Well, my mom wasn't as sporty. My dad, on the other hand, though, he was a national swimmer, so he was very big into swimming, was in the South African team and everything when he was younger, but he stopped because I don't know, I think that he was just not as passionate about it. I have 2 sisters. My little sister, Tegan, she does netball and swimming, but she started with gymnastics as well, but my older sister as well. So all 3 of us were doing gymnastics at the same time. And yeah, Caitlin is my oldest sister. She does hockey, but obviously she stopped now because she's in university level. She's older than me. And yeah, so I was basically the only one who carried on with gymnastics. And yeah.
When you were a child and you were obviously developing, getting stronger as an athlete and getting some success when you were very young, at what point was it that you decided that you actually had Olympic potential, that you could actually be representing your country and become, a very serious gymnast? Was it something that was your coach telling you something that and encouraging you in a way that made you realize you had that potential?
Well, basically when I was very small, I've been with my same coach my whole life, so she's kind of just grown with me to this age now. I guess that, okay, obviously when I was smaller, I was going through the levels, and I did level 1, 2, and 3 in the same year, level 4, and then I went to zone 6, which is basically South Africa with some other countries like Namibia and everything, which is not a part of South Africa, but just the borderline on the top. I went to zone 6 and level 4, and I came second place there. And then my coach, I think, was okay, no, this girl has a lot of potential. Let's see where else she can go. So my coach then put me in high performance 3, which is level 8 high performance, which is we have our own routines and it's like voluntary routines and everything. So from there, I basically won that year. My first competition, I won the nationals. And then I went to pre-junior Olympic, and then I won that as well. And then I went to junior Olympic. In my first year in junior Olympic, I won. And from there, then I qualified for African champs. And it was my first African champs. I think it was about 12, 13, round about there. And then I came fourth place there, for which I was quite happy with myself because it was like my first African champs. And then from there, I realized, you know what, I can actually push harder and try and be better in that. And then in 2014 was basically, we were aiming for African champs, and that's really like what my goal was, to just achieve that again. And then when I went to African champs, I came second place, and then I qualified for Youth Olympics. And that for me, I think was like the moment where I was like, you know what, I can actually do this. I can go far. I can try and go to Olympic Games. And I was in line for Olympic Games 2016, but I tore my ligaments about 4 months before the qualifications. So I couldn't compete, and I was very, very upset. I think I cried for about a month. So from there, but then obviously Commonwealth Games was my next shot that I wanted to do, and that obviously didn't work out for me either. But I want to try and go for 2020 Olympic Games in Japan.
That's the big goal. Yes, I saw that, and that you got that setback before the last Olympic Games. So have you obviously completely recovered now? Do you find that is a weakness now? Do you have to work harder to strengthen particular tendons?
Well, at first, when I came back into training, I went a lot into my biokineticus, and we basically just try to fix it to the strongest ability it can be. And that's why I still now go to bio, just to make sure everything is like strong and there's no potential injuries that can come into place. So I rather was like, you know what, let me just make this a long-term program rather than a short-term, and then it happens again and we have to start the whole process over again.
Yes, I'm sure that's a very smart decision, because they can come back and bite you, can't they, if you don't recover completely and get the strength back that you need.
Exactly.
And we'll be right back after this.
A world of triathlon from the Sports Dynamic Duo. Listen to the Siri and Beck Show on Wisp Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Athlete Profile Show here on Wisp Sports Radio, and I'm talking to Shannon Gardiner, the South African rhythmic gymnast. Now that you're back in full training and you've got to this point where the Olympics in 2020 is a real possibility for you, Shannon, what does your schedule look like? Let's talk about going forward now, what you need to do, and do you have qualifications in South Africa that you need to take on along the way?
Well, at the moment, so I have World Championships now in September, and they were going to use that as a qualification, but now they're like, okay, no, we rather want to give opportunities to other gymnasts as well. So instead of 3 of us going, we're going to send 4 just to give an opportunity to another girl, because she's first year senior Olympic, and we want to obviously bring her into the whole style on how everything works. And they're going to have qualifications for African champs next year at the beginning of 2019. And then our qualifications for Olympics is African champs, and the first place of African champs automatically goes to Olympic Games. So that's the goal at the moment. So I'm really, really hoping that it's going to happen.
Well, we hope so for you, for sure. So, okay, short term, and you said to me before that the major championship that you've got coming up next is, of course, in Bulgaria. Let's talk about your schedule then leading up to that, because you're going to be traveling for quite a while. Talk us through that, what that looks like for you for the next 2 months, really.
Okay, well, at the moment, I still have university, so I'm trying to juggle university and training at the same time. We've upped my training now, so I'm finishing a little later just to get a little more time in, so we could work, obviously, more like a longer time, more harder and everything. And that's going to go up to about the 18th of August. And then I leave on the night of the 18th to Bulgaria, and I'll arrive on the 19th. And then I start training in full from the 20th until the 6th, when the team comes. And basically training consists of from 9 o'clock until 6 o'clock throughout the whole day. I will be in the gym, working hard, training my routines over and over, just to make everything, obviously, as I said, perfect earlier. And then the team comes, or the African team comes on the 6th, and then I will go stay with them, and then we'll train as a team and then compete on the 10th.
Now, talk a little bit about the financial structure and the sports governing body's support of athletes and gymnasts when they are travelling to major competitions like this, and even for training. What sort of support do you get, Shannon?
Well, honestly, the support isn't quite like there at the moment. My parents basically fund me financially all the way, and we hardly get, we haven't had sponsorship. Like, we've applied, tried to get, but obviously it didn't work out. But for African champs now, I know the South African Gymnastics Federation paid for us to go to African champs. But I mean, now for world champs, I'm paying for my own training, I'm paying for my way there, my accommodation for the duration of the world champs. So in South Africa, it's quite difficult. Like, I know it's different to the rest of the world. I know the gymnasts and the athletes get funded by their federations, but I think that here, like, we haven't gotten to that point yet, because obviously South Africa isn't as strong as the dollar and the pound and the euro and everything like that. So I think that's the goal one day, to be able to sponsor like the athletes and everything. But at the moment, my parents are trying to like fund me and give me the opportunity as much as possible. So, yeah.
So then, apart from the coach that you have, who's been with you a long time, do you get any other support, like a nutritionist and sports psychology, any of those other supporting, and I'm thinking of physical therapy and all of that? Do you benefit from that from the federation or being on the team, or do you have to pay for that yourself, Shannon?
Well, we have to pay for it ourselves. Well, at the moment, like my nutrition, I don't go to a nutritionist. I do have a doctor that I go see, and she like takes my blood test, making sure that everything is okay. If I need something to up my, like, I have like vitamin C and everything to make sure everything is okay. But I don't go to a sports psychologist. They took us once as a South African team together, but for me, like, okay, I don't have a lot of time in the first place. But yeah, like, I think that for me, I'm quite mentally, I'm quite strong, and I don't know. For me, I don't need to speak to someone. I'm quite like jacked up when it comes to that, because I just through my whole life, so everything that I've gone through. I think it's just like built me to that point where I'm like, you know what, it's me in the end game, because like it's very hard for here in South Africa. Like, everything is completely spread out. Everything's like on the other side, an hour's drive. I mean, from where I train, it's about half an hour's drive from where I live. So that's really quite difficult, and I have to drive myself because my parents are busy and they can't drive me around everywhere. But yeah, basically everything's self-funded. But I go to physiotherapy, obviously, to get massage, but that's also self-funded. So
quite a challenge that you have to compete at international level, then being self-funded. Well, and I'm curious about your nutrition too. What kind of diet do you have to be on to maintain? I mean, clearly you're burning a lot of calories, but do you have to be really careful about everything you eat?
Yeah, basically you do. Well, for me, I kind of just have like oats in the morning. It's a carbohydrate, so it gives me energy. And then I usually have like eggs and maybe some fruits. Usually grapefruits or an apple during the day for lunch. And then for dinner, I try to stick to like some protein, so either fish or chicken. My coach doesn't really want me to have red meat, so that's one thing where she's like, no, we should only do that once a week. So, but basically everything is quite like, I have to be very careful what I eat, obviously, because if you have something bad, like, I mean, my mom sometimes gives me some dark chocolates if I'm craving something sweet. So I'm not like completely deprived, but and also a lot of water. So that's one thing. I mean, it's really difficult to be a gymnast, and I mean, all my friends are just normal kids who can just eat whatever they want. I go out with my friends and they're like, oh, let's have pizza, and I'm like, no, like, obviously, like, you have to think about it in the long run. Like, do I want a slice of pizza, or do I want to go somewhere in life with my gymnastics and head for the Olympics? So, like, honestly, I just think to myself, I'm like, you know what, in the long run, it'll be better just to be healthy and everything like that.
Any pasta?
No, not so much. If I was going to have a carbohydrate, I'd rather have brown rice. My mom sometimes like makes that, or just half a slice of rye toast. My mom will also give me that sometimes. But yeah.
Yeah, very strict regime then, isn't it? And I'm sure it has to be. Now, how tall are you?
So 1.65 meters. So I'm not sure what it is. I know you guys use feet or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll have to convert that. And how old are you now?
I'm 18.
You're 18. Okay. Now, we often think, gymnasts have a relatively short athletic career. How many years do you think you can compete at the highest level, Shannon? What are your expectations?
Well, obviously, I think that my goal at the moment is Olympic Games. That's 2020, which is in 2 years. And obviously, with studying, it's quite difficult to maintain the training because obviously I need to make a living for myself and get a degree and do well in my degree in order to do well in life. And honestly, I think that I want to try and go as far as I can with gymnastics and as long as I possibly can, because I think that it's a part of my life now. And I think doing no gymnastics will just be such a difference for me. It'll be such a change that I don't think I'll be able to cope. At the moment, I want to maybe try for maybe at least 4 years.
4 years, okay. Okay, there's a lot to do in 4 years, as we can just well imagine, with World Championships, African Championships, and Olympic Games as well. So we're going to follow your story all the way to Tokyo. Will you keep telling your story? Can we get you to do some Facebook Lives with us and tell your story all the way to Tokyo?
Perfect. That sounds absolutely amazing.
All right, fantastic. Well, we will do that then. We'll have you do some Facebook Lives and tell us about your training and your competitions and everything, and that will all be on our Facebook page at Wisp Sports. And so anyone who's a gymnast or an enthusiast who enjoys the sport, this is going to be a fantastic story that we're going to follow Shannon all the way to Tokyo.
Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate this interview and everything.
Oh, you bet, Shannon. Well, the very, very best of luck with training. And yes, we will follow up with you and keep us posted. And I will put links in our show notes for this episode on the website as to where you can follow Shannon on social media. There's some great pictures of Shannon working out. Really fantastic. So, Shannon, thank you so much for coming on the program, and we'll speak again very soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chris.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
And you'll find links to Shannon's social media on our website at wispsports.com, where you'll also find many more conversations from the world of women's sports around the world. Wisp Sports Radio is available on any podcast app. You can download and listen to hundreds and hundreds of episodes from all sports around the world. And if you have any suggestions for guests or would like to comment on any of our shows, please drop us a line to info@wispsports.com. And you can, of course, comment on our social media. Just look for Wisp Sports. So be sure to follow us there. And if you enjoy what we do here at Wisp Sports, do leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That would mean a lot to us. My thanks to our sponsors, Highlands Earache Drops. You can find them at highlands.com/ear-pain. And thanks again to Shannon for coming on the show and to you for stopping by. We know that you have many choices when it comes to podcasts these days, so we really appreciate you supporting us and supporting women in sport everywhere. Until the next time, thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.